Am I the a-hole for telling my dad to get an ironclad prenup and that his fiancé has questionable motives? So my mom died less than 4 months ago, which was a fairly unexpected event. 2 weeks after her passing, my dad, 63, tells my sister, 27, and myself, male 30, that at some point he will start dating again. I totally understood, although a little taken aback by the timing. The only thing I tell him is that he should wait a while before jumping into anything serious. He agrees and says that he wouldn't really consider dating someone for at least a year. Fast forward 3 days, and he informs me that he has reconnected with his high school sweetheart and have reconnected as friends. Still no issues on my end so far. 2 weeks after that, my sister, who lives with my dad, she helped take care of my mom, informs me that my dad and Carol, his high school girlfriend, are on the phone all the time with each other, texting all day and emailing. Also, Carol has made it clear that she wants to marry my dad, and that he is going to spend the weekend with Carol and build some bookshelves with one of her sons, who is my age. Needless to say, he's basically been spending every day he can with Carol and her family. My sister has been extremely against this whole ordeal and vocal about it. I have been against it and tried to tactfully express my concerns. Fast forward to this past Sunday, the day which we spread Mom's ashes. My dad, my sister, and myself meet up for breakfast. He decided that it was an appropriate time to tell us he is getting married to Carol in March. To which I responded by saying, then you better get an ironclad prenup, because nobody in their right mind or with good intentions would start dating someone who's been a widower less than a month, let alone marry him within a year of his wife's death. I also want to be at the wedding. I don't want to meet her or her offspring, and that this entire relationship between you and Carol is not only disrespectful to my mom, but also make me question how much she even loved Mom in the first place. Considering after your dog died, you said you wouldn't be ready for another dog for years, yet Mom dies and you're ready to marry in less than a year? He was hurt, and the rest of the morning was quiet and awkward. Afterwards, I get texts from my grandma and aunt saying that what I said was cruel and uncalled for, and really upset my dad. So please Reddit, I need to know, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. If you were calm and factual, not the a-hole. You raised several very valid points. And maybe it was stuff he needed to hear. I can't imagine the pain of losing a spouse, and he may not be thinking clearly. Stand your ground. I was calm the entire time. I've expressed several times to him that I know he is in pain, that he is on completely foreign ground, and is grasping at anything to bring him comfort. That I think he needs to take time and process his emotions before jumping into another relationship. His response was, you can't put the toothpaste back in its tube, and continues on with Carol. Not the a-hole. Glad you said something, because if you don't, then who will? I've heard of a rebound girlfriend, but a wife? This guy doesn't need another woman. He needs therapy. Sorry to hear about the situation, Opie. Yeah, that's exactly what my sister and I have been saying. He needs help, not another woman. Not the a-hole. He is being disrespectful, and I would even question if the relationship started before your mom's passing. Blah blah. He is an adult, but so are you. And his choices will have long-term consequences to your relationship with him. And the fact that he ranted tattle to his mom and sister to get sympathy tells me there's more going on and your dad is immature and needs to grow up. Yeah, that question of when did this really start has been in the back of my head for a bit now. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my future mother-in-law that I won't invite anyone my fiancé doesn't want to our wedding? My fiancé has a stepbrother from his childhood he does not like, and does not have an ongoing relationship with him. The last time they saw each other was when they were 18, now 25, and that's the way my fiancé likes it. It upsets his mom and stepdad so much, and the half-siblings they share. But it doesn't seem like they were ever close. In old family photos, you can see they keep as far apart as possible. I have seen photos of the stepbrother glaring at my fiancé, and I have heard stories of how they resisted getting photos taken together, even larger group photos. My fiancé also showed me old school notebooks, where he used to doodle and write little notes about wishing his mom had never married his stepdad. And one of them had a couple of notes from stepbrothers saying he thought my fiancé should never have been born. So it's safe to say there is a lot of bad blood there. My fiancé was the one who said he did not want to invite a stepbrother, which makes sense to me. His mom asked him about the invites just the other day, and she was not happy to hear he was not planning to invite a stepbrother. Once she got him out of the way, she asked me to invite the stepbrother myself. She said the bride normally gets more pull, gets what they want, etc., and that brothers should be at each other's weddings. And one day they'll make up and my fiancé will regret not having him there. I told her I wasn't going to invite anyone my fiancé didn't want there, or anyone he already said no to having. She told me I'm becoming part of their family and should put the work in to help him make the right choice. When I stood my ground, she did not respond best, and my fiancé kicked her out because he wasn't having her go behind his back and lash out at me because of it. Some more of fiancé's family are saying I should have agreed to at least talk to my fiancé about it, since future mother-in-law asked me directly and approached me as a new member of their family. This includes my fiancé's stepdad. And now I just wonder if I messed up how I handled this. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Future mother-in-law is trying to lay the groundwork for using you to manipulate your husband. I wish my wife had seen this tactic for what it was at the beginning of our marriage. It would have saved us a lot of heartache from manipulation pulled by my stepmother. I hope he did this perfectly. My mother-in-law tried to do an end run around husband and get me to make him do what she wanted him to do on several issues in the first few years. I just back up husband, tell her he makes his own choices, he's an adult, and I support his decisions. I hope he did great not letting herself be used as a manipulation tool. Not the a-hole, and it would have been a very bad move to betray your fiancé to appease his mother. Good on you for standing your ground and staying loyal to the only person that matters on your day. You can invite whoever you want to your wedding. Mother-in-law be damned. Nope. Tell them you are becoming his wife, not the family therapist. Not the a-hole. Agreed. Your fiancé is your family. Not the a-hole. Your fiancé is very clear that he doesn't want a stepbrother at the wedding. It's his wedding, and mother-in-law has to get over it. Not the a-hole. It's not just your wedding, but your and your fiancé's. And mother-in-law sounds like a lot to have around. Good for you for sticking to the family you're both choosing to start, as opposed to the one he was forced to put up with. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for flaunting my engagement at a wedding? This happened a while ago, but I'm just curious to see what people think of this situation. My boyfriend and I, mid-20s, attended a destination wedding in Greece. He's friends with both the bride and groom. They aren't super close, but obviously close enough to warrant an invite. We decided to turn it into a 10-day vacation and spent days 1 to 5 in Italy and days 6 to 10 in Greece. The rehearsal dinner was day 8 and the wedding was day 9. We got engaged in Italy on day 2. We posted an Instagram photo as an announcement and enjoyed the rest of our vacation. At the rehearsal dinner, 6 days later, our friends congratulated us and asked some of the usual questions, including asking to see the ring. We never broached the subject ourselves. We only responded to question if asked. We were careful to keep it short and changed the subject quickly to avoid too much attention on us. So we only really talked about the proposal to 10 to 15 friends out of 125 plus guests. The next day at the wedding, we spoke to very few people about it at all, less than 5 I'd say, and changed the subject ASAP. I later found out that the couple was furious at us for flaunting our engagement during their wedding and stealing their spotlight. Apparently, we should have waited to post on Instagram until after their wedding, and I shouldn't have worn my ring to the wedding festivities. I felt horrible, because we really did avoid talking about the proposal as much as possible, without being outright rude to those who ask. I guess I could have not worn the ring or posted though. Honestly, I didn't think about that, but maybe that would have been more polite. So what do you think? Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. No a-holes here, but in your shoes, I personally would have waited. Obviously, it isn't the same thing, but I remember an episode of The Crown mentioning that Princess Anne couldn't announce her engagement until after the Queen gave birth, or something along those lines. I think the same general protocol would hold for etiquette's sake. Don't announce it while at the wedding or related events. I'd say on the wedding trip counts as related. Not an a-hole though, because your life doesn't have to revolve around someone else's, and while you drew a different line than I would, You seem to be generally respectful and circumspect. I think this is a fair answer. The line I drew was the wedding trip, but I thought of it more like Greece was the wedding trip, Italy was our own thing. I guess at the time I thought I was doing everything I could to be respectful within reason, but from the answers here, it does look like I could have/should have done more. I'm going with no a-holes here over everyone sucks here. Your friends getting married can't expect a moratorium on engagements for weeks around their wedding, and it's not like you got engaged the day or two before it. But at the same time, since the wedding rehearsal was the first time you were seeing your friend group since being engaged, it became a de facto engagement party with everyone congratulating you. It also sounds like you did talk about your engagement even though you didn't initiate and not just say thank you and steered conversation away from it. Ideally, back to the couple who had paid for the event you were at. And on their side, I can see being upset at your wedding hearing people talk about someone else's engagement, even if it wasn't everyone. It was your friend group, which for a lot of people are more important than a ton of family members you see once a year. So I totally get why they were upset. No a-holes here. From your perspective, you downplayed it as much as you could and tried to be thoughtful. From theirs, it was a lot. In these sorts of scenarios, there's usually an opportune timing at play. Maybe they happened to look over or be nearby every time it came up, and therefore reasonably assumed there were more instances. Maybe it dominated a lot of their interactions with other people. Whatever the case, it's the inherent danger of sharing big news right before another's big day. You can't control timing, and others' actions are chatter, and there's a good chance that even with minimizing it, it still becomes a lot. Not a-hole. The idea that no one can have anything exciting going on in their lives in the months leading up to a wedding so they don't take attention away from the couple getting married is really annoying. Hey brides and grooms, people literally showed up just to celebrate you. They are happy for you and think you look amazing on your special day. That's all that you get. No one is required to stop getting engaged or stop having babies so that you get all the attention. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not telling my fiancé that I'm a father until I knew for sure? I, 30 male, am in an unforeseen situation and feel like the people I know in real life are too close to the situation to give a less biased perspective and have come to Reddit. First off, I am the type of person who doesn't like troubling others with potentially negative and/or life-changing news until I have all the facts, and preferably get all my ducks in a row. I feel like wasting someone's time and causing unwarranted stress can be an a-hole move. Now on to the story. 6 years ago, I found out that my then girlfriend was cheating on me. The lease in our apartment was up for renewal, and I had gotten a job offer in another state. So instead of fangirly confronting her, I ghosted her. Told and asked my family to block her, which they readily did, and then blocked any mutual friends who encouraged me to reach out to her. Sent a message to the side guy that he could have her, and that I wouldn't be on social media anymore. Although after about 2 months, I was back on with new profiles. I was upset for a while, but did move on, and I'm now engaged to my girlfriend of 3 years. Life was going great for me until out of the blue, I was contacted by my ex, who told me that I have a 5-year-old son. Obviously, I called BS and blocked her, but she managed to get a hold of my sister and she convinced me that a DNA test would be best. I unblocked her and said that until the DNA test proved I was the father, I wanted no other contact with her. I told my fiancé that I needed to go out of town to handle an unexpected family issue and that my sister would be coming with me. Since my sister was coming, my fiancé didn't ask for details and the DNA test was done. Unfortunately, I'm tied to my ex for the next 13 years, and I told my fiancé that very same day. She was shocked and hurt that I kept this from her. However, I explained that I didn't want her to worry for nothing if the kid wasn't mine, and that I was just trying to protect her. I understand that my fiancé will need time to process and reevaluate things, and I'm giving her space. Although now that everyone is starting to find out that I have a son, some of them are saying I'm the a-hole for not telling my fiancé sooner. I honestly thought that I was doing the right thing, but am I the a-hole? Edited to add, because I keep seeing this. 1. I ghosted my cheating ex because I didn't want to hear her excuses or see her cry. I didn't want to give her any more of my time, and a part of me took some satisfaction in thinking how she was going to struggle with the rent now that I was gone. 2. Between my ex contacting my sister and me telling my fiancé, it was about 9 days. 3. The only reason my sister went with me was because she already knew and wanted to come. If my sister hadn't known, I would have gone alone. It wasn't because I trusted her more than my fiancé. 4. When I entered a relationship with my fiancé, I wasn't aware that I was a father, so I didn't lie when I was with her. I don't know why people think I withheld having a kid for years. You're the a-hole. She's your fiancé, someone you plan to grow old with and share your life with. Sharing potentially negative and/or life-changing news is what you sign up for when you are in a serious committed relationship. You're supposed to be a united front, and instead you're leaving her in the dark. I don't want to trouble my family/fiancé is just an excuse for hiding things. This is a major thing. Why would he hide it? It is 100% a control move disguised as a nice guy, I'm so considerate move. By deliberately withholding information from someone, the OP is reaffirming, consciously or subconsciously, that they totally control the terms of their relationship and how close they can choose to get. The other person has no say. The OP is also controlling how much they have to show up for someone else. By avoiding messy situation, the OP doesn't have to expend energy on meeting anyone else's emotional needs. The OP is the a-hole. I hope his fiancé takes a long, hard look at what his secrecy and justifications mean when it comes to mutual respect and communication. You're the a-hole. You didn't just keep her in the dark, you lied to her by omission. She's supposed to be your partner, and if you can't be open and vulnerable about what's going on in your life, why are you even getting married? All it would have taken was, my ex contacted me out of the blue with this information. I'm getting a paternity test to verify. Learn how to actually trust your partner, or break up. Don't tie someone to you if you can't be honest with them. She has every right to be hurt and upset that you basically let her know you can't trust her or be open with her. And he did lie about where he was going and why. And even made sure to put in that with his sister coming, she didn't question anything. You're the a-hole. You continued your relationship under false and self-serving pretenses. Now your fiancé has to deal with all of this at once, instead of being able to adjust to the situation with foreknowledge. She should dump you for lying and demonstrating low character. You weren't trying to protect her, you were trying to protect yourself from her judgment and decision. Update. I broke up with my boyfriend because he kept making jokes about murdering me. Original post. During our first few weeks of dating, he joked too much for comfort that he was going to unalive and dismember me and dispose of my body. Maybe out of context, I'm being dramatic? He's very sarcastic and has dark humor. But to me, it wasn't funny and caused me anxiety because I know the statistics. I talked to him about this. I told him repeatedly, stop joking about unaliving me. He kept on with the jokes until I finally told him that those jokes literally scare me. He apologized and seemed to feel bad that his jokes made me scared of him. Tonight we were over 3 hours late to meet with his brother to play games, watch movies, and eat dinner. When I was talking to him about us being late, I noticed he sighed deeply, clenched his fist, and looked down at it, as if he were making the conscious choice not to hit me. Then, as I was saying goodbye to his brother, he came into the room and said, she should say her permanent goodbyes. I asked him, WTF? He said it was a joke. I asked, how is it funny? What's the punchline? Please explain to me how that was supposed to be funny. He couldn't answer. I didn't want to get in the car with him. I walked off, and thankfully, my roommate picked me up and drove me home. He called later, and I told him I'm done. He's a good man, other than the jokes about unaliving me. We talked about it and agreed that he wouldn't joke about unaliving me anymore. But then he did it again tonight and doubled down that it was just a joke, and that actually I'm the problem. I started telling him, again, about how often women are offed by their husbands and boyfriends, and that's why the jokes bother me so much. But he interrupted me to say, F you. So I hung up and blocked him.
All of this really sucks because my roommates say I should just talk it out with him and give him another chance, because they can tell I really like him and he really likes me. But I already did that. I thought we were past the homicide jokes. Then he did it again tonight while he was angry with me, and it caused me this awful feeling in my gut that I needed to not get in the car with him and get away from him. I've had boyfriends and male friends in the past. None of them have ever made jokes about unaliving and dismembering me, especially multiple times after I told them to stop. Have you had friends or boyfriends who make jokes like this? Where is the humor in it? What would you do in this situation? Now for the top advice before reading the updates. You've already given him chances. He agreed to change, then he broke his word. So not only is he verbally abusive and potentially violent, he also breaks his word. You did nothing wrong. There is no humor in what he said, and abusers frequently excuse their abuse in the two ways he did. First, they say it was a joke. If you don't accept that, they try to blame it on you. You don't want to become a statistic. Well, there are plenty of men out there who will never threaten to off you. You have done exactly the right thing. Don't feel bad about anything you've done. My one piece of old woman advice to you is to be very strict around dating men when it comes to threats. Joke or not, if a man threatens you in any way, tell him that if he does it again, it's over. Don't tolerate any kind of threats or violence ever. If the man is actually a danger, he will see tolerance as a sign that he can violate your boundaries without consequences. Read the book Why Does He Do That by Lundy Bancroft. OP should also read The Gift of Fear. That book explains why her intuition is correct, and she should always listen to it. Just remember, there's a lot of unalived women that once said he'd never do that to me. Everyone I've known who makes weird murder jokes like this had several screws loose. I think the guy has intrusive thoughts and makes them into jokes. He literally can't help himself. I have a dark sense of humor too, and consume a lot of horror-related content, but would never make a joke about victimizing a loved one. Just thinking about it gives me the ick. She did the right thing. The clenching the fist is what pushed me over the edge. It reminds me of the old-timey, why I oughta wife-beating type jokes. No thanks. Not worth sticking around and finding out. Mini update. Thank you, everyone, for your overwhelming support. Also, thank you for the important links and resources in the comments. I've learned a lot and shared them with my friends. I love this sub. I haven't heard from him, and he hasn't caused any trouble since the breakup. If anything comes up, I'll update this post. Now for the update almost a year later. I hope I'm not breaking any subreddit rules by posting an update, but I thought this sub would appreciate an update, given all the feedback my OP received and all the messages I read requesting one. My original post was almost a year ago. Thankfully, I have moved across state since then and have not seen him since. The last time I spoke to him, over the phone, I made it very clear several times. Me, you promised you'd stop making jokes about unaliving me, but then you did it again. You realize the greatest threat for women is being unalived by their boyfriends or husbands. They are most likely to be offed by men they know. Him, hey OP, F you. So I hung up. I ghosted him after that, blocked him on everything and alerted my employer that if he showed up, he was a threat. However, he sent me an email in an attempt to, I don't know. I'll leave you to draw your own conclusions because I really can't make sense of it. I'm sorry if I quote it incorrectly. I'm on mobile. The email he sent me, Dear My Name, spelled wrong. He got my name wrong multiple times and it became a joke, which is what he refers to here. I don't really know how to go about saying that I am empathetic, as I'm a me-pathetic mess. But I do feel I can understand, and I have recognized. My actions have consequences, clearly. I thought I was being reasonable. I gave you time and space. I wasn't sure how long I needed to wait, or if I should just do nothing, but I didn't know you had even blocked me until today, as I had not called and only texted that first day, expecting nothing back. Yet now I understand. I should have known. I tried to call you tonight though, despite my better judgment. That's when it hit me hard. It's been almost 2 weeks. I know you don't want to be in a relationship with me, but I wanted to end this civilly. I could hope at least. On terms that we both could live on, amicably, or me, since I didn't have a choice. That terrible night was booze-ridden, and unfortunately for me, the end of us. I didn't get any chance, but I made my choices, and I was cut out of you, like the cancer I became. Regardless of how much I remember, due to my memories being cut down by Irish whiskey, and I, hazed-focused. You ghosted me. Now I know how that feels as I have done that to others. I deserve this. It's interesting because you mentioned to me that I never had to change my number in my last relationship over 5 years ago because all I needed to do was block them. Damn, history not only repeats itself, but can be freaking ironic. I lost one of my best friends. I lost you. I have been hurting, OP. This hurt even more when I realized you don't even want to communicate with me. I would ask why, but I know it's because you hate me, what you think of me, what you think I am. Who likes Andrew Tate? Nobody. I embody that nobody. I am hate. I am Tate. I obviously have a lot of growing up to do. I was not aware of just how much. I do not regret you or the experiences I shared, which were awesome and different than all the treasures I had experienced with another soul. We had so much in common, and yet the few things we didn't shaped themselves into a shadow that blocked our light, your light. I regret not realizing that perhaps I was just not ready. You are so beautiful and awesome, OP, and I hate hurting you in any way, especially since you deserve so much love. And instead, I gave you fear. You, however, only gave me happiness. You made me feel wanted, so much so that it blindsided me. I haven't been that happy in a very long time, and maybe that's why I fell for you so hard and so fast, as I had been in the dark for years, and your essence got me as high as a kite. I could see the sky for once. I was flying. I had been grounded since I lost my wings a few years ago, and it showed. I started sinking in the sands of time, in bottles, in gates drowned by my fears. My brother lost a friend because of me. I lost because of me. I may be a good person who does bad things, but I did a bad thing to a good person. It scares me to think that, when we do, and it will inevitably happen, as it's a small town, run into each other, you will fear me, and I will fear you. I don't want that. But I made my grave, and I suppose I need to sleep in it. I will not call you again as I did tonight, as much as I want to. You can always call me, but I am aware that is about as real as my dreams coming true. I have respected your space. I haven't tried to suffocate it or breathe your air. I just wanted to bury myself with a little dignity today, considering that I must be public enemy number 1. I'm embarrassed to admit that running into your roommates or even co-workers makes me feel uncomfortable. That I did. To myself and to you. I'm sorry, OP, I don't know what else to say. I know you will find someone sooner or later who will treat you with respect and make you feel loved. I am not him. I failed. But you will have that, as much as I don't want to think of it, and you deserve it. As much as I didn't commit to that. I know you think I don't love you. You can ghost me. You cannot respond. I don't think you will anyway. Maybe you won't even read this, which is okay. I needed to say my piece, to rest at sea. But you can't take away how I felt, or how I feel at all. Maybe that was the problem. I was too much. You thought I was just a blip in time anyhow, and now, that blip can finally sink. In time. Thank you for all the support. There is no way he will ever hear from or see me again. I now live in a new town, a new home, and with a great man who respects and appreciates me. And for those wondering, he's 40. He's a really great guy, except for when he jokes about murdering me. What the actual hell? The bar is below hell. Me reading his email, my God, he is insufferable. I've met guys like this at university. All sucked. At least she walked away when she should have. OP, he is 40. Me, stares at the camera. I took the same journey. Ugh, Christ, I definitely went to college with a couple of these guys. OP, he's like 40. Me, deadpan face. That email reads like a manifesto. It really does. All these other commenters saying it just sounded immature, like a guy in his 20s trying to figure out his emotions. No, this absolutely reads like someone who is not well. Last story. Update. What do I say to my boyfriend, 44 male, who doesn't seem to realize he's just broken up with me, 45 female? Original post. I've been dating my boyfriend for about a year. When I met him, he had separated from his wife and they were going through a divorce 8 months after separation. I don't usually date men who are only separated, but we just clicked. One thing I've asked from the beginning is whether or not he wants to have more kids, because I'm child-free for medical reasons. He's always said he wasn't bothered either way. The relationship with his children is very strained, and they don't like going to see him. Now the divorce is complete. I've warned him that he'll spiral, having had friends go through the same thing, which is usually why I don't date men in this period. But he was adamant he was going to be fine. He isn't. He's totally spiraling. I've suggested that he go back to therapy, but he doesn't want to. I've said not to just have these thoughts and feelings swirling around in his head, and to talk if he needs to. He started talking to me about his feelings, and one of them is that he wants to have more kids. Now he said this in his stream of consciousness in a voice note. I'm on the waiting list for a hysterectomy. He's still texting as normal. How do I confront this? He doesn't really have anyone else to talk to. However, our relationship is basically over in my head now. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Sounds like you just need to be upfront and honest. Tell him he wants more kids, and you can't give that to him. You have broken up with him in your head, not him breaking up with you. Thank you for replying. I think a conversation definitely needs to be had. Could it have been a statement made in a spiral? Is it possible that the emotional complexities are deeper than a metaphorical shot across the bow? It seems like a simple conversation to reaffirm your choices is the next step. Perhaps he's truly interested in having more kids, in which case the relationship is done. I wouldn't call it a healthy process to check out without talking first. I believe it was, because I got another text this morning saying that he doesn't want to have any more now. Aside from all the other issues, did you not think it was a bit strange and off-putting that the man's children have a strained relationship with him and don't like seeing him? Like that for me would be a massive glaring red flag. Oh, if that was the case, we wouldn't have gotten this far. When we met, his kids were happy to see him and enjoyed their visits. However, as the divorce went through and his ex-wife didn't get exactly what she wanted, their attitudes started to change. Now I'm aware I'm only hearing his side, so you're welcome not to believe me. Even I was skeptical. There are certain things that his children have said about finances that make you wonder. Since you've had friends go through divorce, you know that some of the things people say in this major transition are just thoughts or words. It's really important, in my opinion, for people going through divorce to get therapy. You can't assume he realizes the implications of his rantings. You can certainly point it out. If you want kids, that would mean we're incompatible. Not sure if you're just having thoughts or if you're expressing actual intentions. Thank you for reminding me of this. It's a lot harder to remember when you're directly involved. What I don't want is for him to say what he thinks I want to hear, so that he still has me around. Now for the update 2 weeks later. Thanks for the answers. I replied to as many as I could, but eventually it got a bit repetitive. To those who never saw my replies and have the same questions, his kids were happy to see him when we met, but as the divorce became more acrimonious, they started to say things that, in my mind, children wouldn't typically say. If he had said anything about his children not wanting to see him when we first started dating, that would have been a red flag for me. Helping a friend through a divorce and listening to them go through various ideas is very different from seeing the person you're dating do it, especially when they are talking about things that mean the end of the relationship. Anyway, on to the update. We met up, and I asked him if he was aware that he said he thinks he wants to have more kids. He said yes, it's a possibility. I said, you're aware that I'm on the waiting list for a hysterectomy? He said yes. I said, so you're aware that this essentially means we're over? He said, it doesn't have to mean that. We can continue to see each other until I make up my mind. People. I nearly fell off my chair. I stared at him and realized that he actually never knew me at all. Anyone who knows me knows I would never put up with his foolishness. I actually laughed and said, you want me to continue to see you while you decide whether or not you want kids? And then if you do, I should just meekly walk away? Does that sound like that's fair? He said no, but he loves being with me and doesn't want to lose me. I told him I was lost the minute he told me he might want more kids. I said I appreciate him telling me the truth, but the consequence of that means we're over. I told him what I'd have told a friend: sort out your relationship with the children you have before making new ones, and gave him a book on that subject. I left and cried. I'm going to miss him a lot. He's been texting, but I may block him soon. You just hang around until I decide if I want to keep you or not, okay? How on earth did you say no to such a wonderful offer? What's wild is him acknowledging how crappy that is and still expecting OP to stay with him. You were to be a security blanket while he went through the divorce and figured out who he was. I applaud your self-knowledge. Allow yourself to grieve what you lost. Time to block him so he can go figure out himself by himself.